Hey, Randy Hunter here from beginningsax.com. And first, I'd like to say I hope you're having a great time learning to play your saxophone. It's such a wonderful instrument. I really love playing the saxophone, and I love working with people that are learning to play the horn. Now, in this video, in this beginning sax quick licks and tips video, I'd like to show you probably what I consider to be, probably the most important pattern that you'll ever learn. Now, you may not know what a pattern is, but I'll answer that in a minute. But in this pattern, we're going to learn scales in thirds, and we're really just going to learn one scale in thirds. That's the G major scale, since we've already been working on with it in some of the previous videos. We'll learn the G major scale in thirds, and what it sounds like is Now, the reason I consider that to be the most important pattern you'll ever learn is because it's the first pattern you'll ever learn, and you'll learn how patterns work. Patterns, there are a number of different kinds of patterns. There are patterns where you take like maybe a lick and learn it in different keys, and there are also scale patterns and patterns based on intervals and various concepts that you work through different keys. So a pattern is when you take a concept or an idea, a lick, a phrase, anything, and work it through different keys. Now, the reason this one is also so important is because we learn these scales going up and down, but a lot of times music has other intervals in it, including thirds. So there I'm playing a little phrase in thirds. Now, let's go ahead and just learn the method for learning this pattern on the G scale. Again, just play your G scale to start with, one octave. We'll go G to G just like we did in the learning scales video and learning the G scale video. Now, if we think of it in numbers 1, 2, 3, we're gonna skip from the first to the third. We're gonna play 1 followed by 3. Now we'll also do 2 followed by 4. So remember, G, A, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 3, 2, 4. Next will come B, and a third from B in the G major scale is D. So we're taking each step of the scale, 1 followed by a third, which will give us 1, 3. The second step of the scale is A. We'll follow that by a third on the scale. So if we think A, B, C, it's the third, 1, 2, 3 from A to C. So we'll do A, C, then we'll do B, B, C, D, 1, 2, 3 from B, B, D, followed by C, 1, 2, 3, C, D, E, C, E. So we've got G, B, A, C, B, D, C, E, right on up the scale. Now I'm all the way up to high G there. So what I want to do is descend in a similar manner. So I'm going to go from G to F sharp down to D. I'm going to skip from F sharp a third down. F sharp, E, D, back to E, E down to C, E, D, C, 3, 2, 1, followed by D down to B, D, C, B, 3, 2, 1 from D. Now I'm on A right there, and I'm going to go ahead and reach down to low F sharp, which actually puts us just a little bit more than an octave. But it gives us a nice sense of completion of the pattern. So listen again to the pattern, the full pattern. notice I didn't stop at the top. I just rounded the top and kept a continuous motion over the top of the pattern and turned around and came down. Now, if you want to, once your technique is rolling along, you might want to extend the range on the scale and subsequently on the pattern to maybe, a 2-octave cycle. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run this pattern in 2-octave cycle by going from low G all the way to high D. I mean, we could go full range, but we're going to save that for later. Let's go from low G to high D. I selected D because it's an arpeggio tone. Remember the arpeggio G, B, D. So I'm going to the low G, up the scale all the way to high D. Now we want to set our parameters at 2 octaves, so I'm going to descend down the scale to low D, and then I'm going to ascend back to G, and that'll give me a 2-octave cycle. Now I'll follow that by practicing the pattern, the scale in thirds, to the same parameters, to the high D, then down to the low D, and I'll ascend back to the G. So listen closely. And of course, if I were in the practice room really going at it, I would put on the metronome and maybe start at a slow tempo, maybe quarter notes at 60 beats a minute, and then start to work towards my technical limit. So my suggestion would be for you, as you learn these major scales, as you learn the different scales, begin by learning, after you learn the scale and the arpeggio, go ahead and play the scale in thirds, 1 octave, and eventually look for 2 octaves. And then down the road, as your chops really start to develop, you can start working towards full range. Now, remember, this is just the first of many patterns that you'll learn as you develop, and this really gives you a good foundation for learning to improvise, and also for building your technique, even if improvisation is not your goal. So I hope you'll take this to heart and do a lot of this scale in thirds kind of practice, or at least devote some of your practice session to it. Okay? And I hope you continue to have good luck as you learn to play. Now, hey, remember, I've got a complete beginning saxophone series of lessons at beginningsax.com. So I hope you'll consider studying with me through my online lessons. And, I do Skype lessons too, if you're ever interested. Good luck.